There comes a quiet moment in every life when the question finally rises, a question you may have avoided, ignored, postponed, or buried beneath routines and responsibilities. But it returns. It always returns. What is the purpose of my life? This question does not come from your achievements. It does not come from your fears. It comes from the core of your being, from the depth that lives beneath your thoughts, from the part of you that longs for clarity, meaning, direction, truth. Tonight, we walk into that question together, not to chase an answer outside yourself, but to uncover the truth that has been quietly waiting within you. So breathe, let your shoulders fall, let the mind soften, let the tension around your expectations dissolve a little. Do not force anything. Just arrive. Purpose is not hidden from you. Purpose is revealed when the mind becomes quiet enough to listen. Imagine standing at the edge of a wide valley at dawn. Right. Mindfulness means being present in each moment, awake to your experience. Right concentration means training the mind to be steady, open, and clear. You do not need to master these. You only need to walk with them. Each step shapes your purpose. Each breath shapes your path. Purpose is not a single answer. Purpose is the way you move through the world. And now, let's look at the beautiful paradox. Your purpose is not outside you, yet you keep searching externally. You say, "Tell me who I should be." You ask, "Tell me what I should do." You wonder, "Tell me what is right for my life." But no one can tell you that, because your purpose is not a role, it is not a task, it is not a destination. Your purpose is the unfolding of your consciousness. Imagine consciousness as a lantern. At first, the flame is small. It flickers. It struggles. It barely illuminates the ground beneath you. You feel lost. You feel uncertain. But as you cultivate awareness, compassion, release, discipline, and mindfulness, the flame grows. It expands. It glows brighter. It lights the path a little farther. The path was always there. You simply could not see it. As the lantern grows, you realize something profound. Your purpose is not a question to be answered. Your purpose is a path to be walked. And that path unfolds step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment. Now let's talk about karma not as cosmic judgment, but as mental patterns. Every thought shapes your direction. Every intention plants a seed. Every action creates momentum. Your purpose is influenced by the patterns you reinforce. If you cultivate anger, your purpose becomes obscured. If you cultivate clarity, your purpose becomes visible. If you cultivate compassion, your purpose becomes rooted in love. If you cultivate mindfulness, your purpose becomes grounded in presence. This is why letting go is essential. The more attachments you release, the more clearly purpose can enter your life. Attachment is heaviness. Purpose is lightness. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you grip, the more sand slips away. But when you relax your hand, the sand rests gently in your palm. This is how purpose works. You cannot force it. You can only allow it. Now, imagine yourself at the center of a vast circle. Around you are all the versions of you, who you've been, who you are now, who you may become. Some versions are lost, some are afraid, some are strong, some are wise. Purpose is the line that connects all these versions into one continuous flow. You are not meant to become someone new. You are meant to remember who you already are beneath the layers. You were born with purpose. You simply forgot. Now breathe again, slow, gentle, soft. Feel your chest rise. Feel your body settle. Feel a small, quiet truth begin to open inside you. You are not here to chase a destiny. You are here to awaken. You are here to see clearly. You are here to love fully. You are here to live consciously. You are here to walk the path of truth. Everything else flows naturally from that. And now comes the final insight, the twist at the heart of this journey. Purpose is not something you find. Purpose is something you become. You become purpose when you live with awareness. You become purpose when you live with compassion. You become purpose when you honor the present moment. You become purpose when you release what no longer serves you. You become purpose when you step beyond fear. You become purpose when you align your life with truth. So ask yourself one simple question before this night ends. What is the next clear, honest step my life is asking me to take? Not the whole path, not the entire future, just the next step. Whatever arises, gentle, quiet, small or surprising, trust it. Because that next step is purpose, that next step is clarity, that next step is awakening. And once you begin walking, purpose walks with you, guiding you, shaping you, becoming you. You do not need to rush. You do not need to force. You do not need to know everything. You only need to be present. You only need to be honest. You only need to be willing. The rest will unfold exactly as it must. Mist rises slowly from the ground. The air is cool. Birds stir in the distance. The world has not yet decided what it will become today. In that moment, there is a stillness, a feeling that something meaningful is about to begin. Not because the world demands it, but because something in you is finally ready. Purpose feels like that. Soft, subtle, a gentle pull rather than a loud command. Most people do not find their purpose because they are searching for fireworks. They want a loud revelation, a clear sign, a dramatic moment. But purpose rarely arrives with noise. It arrives in quiet awareness. It arrives when you stop running. It arrives when you stop pretending you are not lost. You discover purpose the moment you admit you don't know it. Not knowing is the doorway. Curiosity is the key. Silence is the path. This is why Buddhist teachers often say, begin with stillness. The truth reveals itself, because purpose is not something you chase. Purpose is something you align with. But let's go deeper. Why is purpose so difficult for many people to understand? Because you were taught to look outward. You were taught that purpose is a career, a role, an achievement, a title. You were taught that meaning comes from performance, that your value is measured by productivity, that your direction must satisfy others before it satisfies you. From childhood, you were shaped into someone else's idea of success. You learned to be efficient, to be responsible, to be acceptable, to be impressive. But you were not taught to be awake, because awakening cannot be standardized. Awakening threatens the systems that want predictable people. Awakening dissolves the illusions people use to control one another. Awakening begins the moment you stop believing that your purpose is something outside yourself. Purpose is not a destination. Purpose is a way of being. Let's uncover it together. Imagine your life as a field of seeds. Some seeds were planted by your parents, some by society, some by your fears, some by your desires, some by your wounds, some by your deepest wisdom. Now ask yourself, which seeds did you plant consciously, and which seeds were planted for you? Most people live in fields they never chose. They harvest expectations. They cultivate habits. They tend to beliefs they inherited but never questioned. This is why clarity feels distant. This is why purpose feels blurry. You cannot find your direction if you are walking through someone else's forest. The Buddha taught that there are 4 universal truths that shape every human life. Not religious truths, not philosophical theories, but lived realities. The first truth, life contains suffering, not as punishment, not because something is wrong with you, but because life is impermanent, because expectations clash with reality, because desire never rests. Every time you chase something external to fill an internal emptiness, suffering arises. The second truth, suffering has causes: clinging, craving, attachment to identity, attachment to comfort, attachment to beliefs, attachment to outcomes. The third truth, suffering can end, not by escaping life, not by abandoning responsibility, but by seeing clearly, by releasing illusions, by returning to presence. The fourth truth, there is a path, a way of living that brings clarity, compassion, insight, and peace, a way of walking that aligns your life with reality, rather than with fear or ego. This path is the foundation of purpose. Purpose begins where illusion ends. Purpose begins when you stop forcing life to match your expectations. Purpose begins when you stop living as a reaction to your past. So let me ask you a gentle question. How much of your life today is built from fear? Fear of being insignificant, fear of disappointing others, fear of choosing wrong, fear of losing stability, fear of change, fear of being truly seen. If purpose feels distant, it is often because fear is speaking louder than truth. Purpose cannot enter a mind dominated by fear. Purpose requires space. Purpose requires silence. Purpose requires honesty. So let your breath soften again and ask quietly, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Maybe it is someone's approval. Maybe it is an identity you built years ago. Maybe it is the belief that you must always be strong. Maybe it is the pressure to prove your worth. Maybe it is the habit of chasing the next thing instead of being here. Whatever it is, breathe into it and let just a small part of it loosen, because purpose is not found through force. Purpose is found through release. Let's walk deeper. Imagine you are traveling through a dense forest. At first you try to navigate by memory. You think you know the way. You rely on old maps, beliefs, expectations, stories you've carried for years. But eventually the maps stop helping. They were never meant for this part of the forest. They were drawn by people who never walked your path. You stand there unsure. This is the moment many people fear, the moment of not knowing. But in truth, this is the most sacred moment of the journey, because not knowing forces you to look directly at life rather than through old ideas. Not knowing frees you from the illusion of certainty. Not knowing invites humility, presence, curiosity. Purpose becomes visible only when you stop clinging to the map. Now imagine a small clearing ahead. You step into it. Sunlight filters through the trees. The air feels lighter. The ground begins to rise gently beneath your feet. This clearing represents awareness, the beginning of seeing life as it is. Awareness is the foundation of purpose. Without awareness, you live in reaction. With awareness, you live in intention. Awareness reveals your cravings. Awareness reveals your fears. Awareness reveals the illusions you've been following. And awareness reveals the quiet whisper of truth. That whisper says you are meant to awaken. Your purpose is awakening, not once, but again and again, in each moment, in each breath, in each choice. Awakening from illusion, awakening from fear, awakening from autopilot, awakening from false identity. Every other purpose, career, ambition, passion, goal flows from this root. But awakening alone is not enough. Awakening without compassion becomes isolation. Awakening without humility becomes ego. Awakening without action becomes emptiness. This is why Buddhism teaches the middle way. Not indulgence, not suppression, not extremes. Balance. Purpose is balance. Balance between doing and being, between effort and rest, between discipline and softness, between clarity and mystery. Between growth and acceptance, imagine a river flowing between two cliffs, too far to one side and the water crashes into stone, too far to the other and it becomes stagnant. The middle way keeps the river alive. Purpose is not rigid. Purpose is fluid. Purpose is the movement of your life in alignment with truth. Now, let's talk about the Eightfold Path, not as doctrine, but as a map for purpose. Right view means seeing clearly, seeing beyond illusion, seeing with awareness rather than reaction. Right intention means living from love rather than fear, choosing actions that create harmony rather than harm. Right speech means using words that bring clarity, healing, and honesty. Not gossip, not manipulation, not self-deception. Right action means living ethically with integrity, with compassion. Right livelihood means doing work that aligns with your values instead of violating them. Right effort means sustaining awareness, not perfection, but persistence.